Everybody, it's Monday night at 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. It's time for your Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing this evening?
No complaints for me. It
That's
seems like
good. That's
your battery's worn down.
Oh, I just didn't sleep well last night. You know how it goes sometimes.
Yeah,
It happens, but it happens to the
yeah.
best of us. But I'm here. I've got my animation pants on, and I'm ready to stream a little bit. You can't tell, but they're very colorful.
I see. I always wear animation shorts.
Animation shorts. Okay.
And there's a play on words because animation shorts is terrible. It's like
Yeah,
almost
no,
like
that
dad
is
joke
dad joke
territory.
level. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
dad joke level.
it's pretty bad.
That's
But
okay. That's
couldn't
okay.
help it. Couldn't
Yeah.
help it. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you got to do it. I'm sort of envious of people who can do dad jokes and puns and portmanteaus and nonces and things like that. I'm so
Yeah.
bad at all of those. I don't know. I've never been good at
Huh.
puns. I've never been good at rhyming.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just not. I'm a prose kind of guy through and through. Just
Yeah. I
straight
mean,
old boring prose. So
yeah. I think I tend to be the same way. I just happen to bad luck into
you
that
just
one.
fell backwards into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fell backwards into
So.
the dad joke.
Yeah. I
See,
guess we're
I feel
doing.
like someone better than me could have actually like taken you accidentally doing a dad joke and turn that into a dad joke. Like I feel, you know,
Huh.
someone who's more talented at this than me could probably just do an infinite chain of dad jokes leading into dad jokes.
Oh, yeah. Probably. I don't know anybody off the top of my head that we could consult and have and bring in as a guest to kind of help with that
Oh, I have a
in the
friend.
future. Yeah.
My friend Jeff, who does the voice of Mitchell Winchester, is the king of
I
dad
can
jokes.
I can imagine he could be pretty. He would have some skill with that. Just knowing, just
He
the few times I've met him over
he
Zoom
wants,
and stuff.
yeah. I mean,
So
he wants to do a guest. So I mean, we haven't had a guest on the stream in a long time. He sort of invited himself to be a guest on the live stream.
All right. We could
So
do that. Like when I
he
when
might
I'm
see
working
this.
on a
He watches occasionally. So
yeah, yeah, I know he's ribbed me a couple of times over siding with you on arguments or whatever
hmm
or siding, with yeah, so it's pretty funny. Yeah, we could bring him on. Like when I'm working on Mitchell, we
Yeah,
could do that. Yeah.
next time you're looking at Mitchell, let me know and we can schedule something. I'm sure he'd be glad to come on and inundate us with dad
Oh my
jokes
gosh.
so badly
Yeah.
that we'll never say another dad joke for as long as we shall live.
Yeah, yeah. That definitely was a dad joke, right? I mean, what I just used
I feel
only
like
for
that is within the
yeah.
Overton window of dad jokes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I think so too.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, with all that being said, I mean, I could get into what I'm working on this week and we can roll into whatever.
That sounds good to me. That sounds good to
Let's
me.
see here. I'll share screen, share. Okay, so we're on this shot here.
Mm-hmm.
And as you recall from the past couple of weeks, I've been working on the mouth packs featuring Calamity at this three-quarters view.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at a good spot now where I'll just use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's these last few frames here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the asset for Calamity here out of my master file, and I will paste it in here and start kind of animating a little bit. Well, not animating, still setting up some stuff for the most part. So yeah, um, and as I'm doing this, I wanted to kind of discuss some pop culture stuff from the
Already.
weekend that I
I'm
saw.
so ready. It's
Yeah, very.
the only thing I'm good at. So
I'm very curious. Well, me too. I mean, I feel like that's my super talent too, is to
it's your
watch TV.
yeah. I mean, frankly, it's my raison d'être. So without being able to wax intellectual about geek stuff, I think I would just cease to exist. I mean, I would succumb to proton death and just fade out of into existence.
So yeah, did you say Proton Death? Yeah,
Proton death, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Is that like a Mega Man? Is that a Mega Man reference?
I think I'm referencing how the universe, because electrons, neutrons, and
Hmm.
protons, they have a lifespan.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that anybody knows how long,
Hmm.
but if
Hmm.
you and this is this is side. We'll get to the geek stuff in a second. This is nerd stuff. We've crossed into a different
Okay.
subspecialty, but if you take it from the idea, and I'm probably getting this wrong. I'm sure there's astrophysicists rolling over in their grave as I say this, but I'll say it
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If you take it from the Big Bang that all basically matter in the universe was created in that instance,
Mm-hmm.
that means that all protons ultimately have the same lifespan. And whatever that lifespan is, the protons that existed at, and I believe that all protons existed at the Big Bang. They just, or all atoms rather, existed at the Big Bang. They just sort of, reconstitute into different molecules and different materials and elements and things of that nature. Which means that all protons are the same age, and that means that when their number is up, so to speak, they will all die at the same time, and therefore the universe will disappear when we hit proton death. I feel like that is something that I heard somewhere once.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the number of astrophysicists rolling over in their graves right now are probably too many to count. But anyway, so that was a nerd aside. So that's where that came from, apocryphal or not. That's where that came from.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I kind of like trying to focus on the proton discussion now. It's throwing me off as to what I was going
Yeah.
to talk to you about.
Well, you
My
said
gosh,
we were
I
gonna
was
do
actually
yeah.
like trying to take it in. Like, okay, this is interesting, yeah, and I kind of lost my train of thought. Wow. Oh, I remember now. Well,
Okay.
actually, there's two things I was talking about. Like, one was the movie Up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not Up. Don't mean Nope. I
Oh,
mean,
right. Okay.
look up.
Okay.
There's Nope. We could probably talk about that one. But also, my Amit and I watched Prey yesterday
Oh
on
yeah.
Hulu.
Okay.
So I'll for Nope, and I mean, I'll let you go into this 'cause I think you really enjoyed Nope probably
I
more
did.
than I did. I
Yeah.
liked Nope. I thought it was okay. But there was too many. I think we talked about it off stream a little bit. Like there was too many rules that were kind of I think implied setup for me.
Mm-hmm.
That he kind of broke towards the end. And so it kind of took me out of it, out of the immersion of that world of what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish that he didn't. I just wish that that didn't happen. For me, for what I was trying to, for my enjoyment, I guess. But I thought it was a fun movie. I thought there were really some fun references and no, like I don't know how far we need to go. Let's see. It's been 3 weeks now since it's been open, so I guess we can kind of do spoiler stuff. I don't know. We
Yeah,
may
I
have to do
mean,
another.
anybody who watches this stream knows how badly we respect spoilers, and
Yeah,
I can throw a spoiler warning into the show notes if we really want to,
yeah. I'd like to do
um,
that just in case somebody wants to see it, or I don't know. Like, well, I'll keep it pretty vague. But for me, this doesn't give a spoiler, but it's just yeah, the breaking the rules part for me was my issue with
mhm.
the show, with the movie. But there were some great shots in it. There was some really fun storytelling that he had with it. That I thought was good. So
Mhm.
out of the three Jordan Peele movies I've seen, it's probably my least favorite of them all. I still
Hmm.
think it's the Get Out, the one that put him on the map, was his best, and Us was pretty good. And this one's just sort of fell short, but it's still good enough to where we'll probably see another one. But I'm starting to get a little worried where we're going into M Night Shyamalan territory, where just nothing but slow trajectory going down because it just gets more and more shoddy as we go. But I can't do that yet to him. I don't want to do that to Jordan Peele yet. Let's see. We'll see. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. The floor is yours, Eric. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know if you've had more time to think about it, and if you're still in the same opinion or
Yeah,
what.
I liked it a lot actually.
Mm-hmm.
I I we talked about this online, and all of your points that you brought up I agree with. I think people's mileage varies in terms of what bothers them versus what doesn't bother them. I thought that the all of the metaphor and the subtext and the symbolism was very effective, and I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
From a script standpoint, Get Out is still remains his best script, and I think that he has a lot of big ideas that sometimes get a little away with him. I thought that was the biggest problem with Nope, honestly. Um, I mean, not Nope, Us. Um, but in general, I enjoyed it. Some of the some of your issues had to do with the way the electromagnetism worked and how
Mm-hmm.
they sort of cheat a little bit. So it's like, well, if the camera can zoom in, then it can zoom in at a distance, even if even if the UFO is, turning off electrical equipment within its range, right? And he almost appears to acknowledge that in the scene where the praying mantis climbs on the one camera,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
then they don't ever go back to it. They don't ever readdress it, and they bring in the mechanical, the mechanical crank camera from Antlers
Mm-hmm.
Holst, the cinematographer, which I
Yeah.
thought was clever. And there's a
Yeah.
reason, why he did it from a symbolism standpoint, but it definitely creates a continuity error, or at least not a continuity error per se, but sort of an unclosed thread, if
Mm-hmm.
you will, um, in terms of why they are doing what they're doing. So yeah, I totally understand it. For me, the subtext and the symbolism underneath it kind of, I
Was
sort of forgave
was
it.
strong enough to was
Yeah,
strong enough for you
yeah,
that you're like, I can overlook this.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So, um, but yeah, it was a really enjoyable movie. I liked it a lot. And then one of the things that I liked about it is if you're paying attention, there's a lot there,
Mm-hmm.
and and that's a bit of a double-edged sword because it does get a little noisy at times,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in general, I think he does a pretty good job of navigating the complexities of the story he wants to tell. Especially given that he has basically two completely parallel storylines that are tied together only through Stephen Yun's character, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it was a ballsy choice because ultimately the movie, to a certain extent, is about the way we treat predators, and the notion of spectacle kind of being a predator on people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but aside from the subtext, it was actually a pretty fun UFO movie just to watch
Mm-hmm.
superficially.
Mm-hmm.
You could
Mm-hmm.
go in
Oh,
all,
there's some.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like some of those shots, especially at night when you see it kind of going through the
mm-hmm,
clouds. You see those even on the commercials, but they were so beautifully shot and
mm-hmm,
composed.
mm-hmm.
Loved it. Like when I can't remember the main character running through
OJ,
that
yeah,
woodshed.
Daniel
OJ
Close,
running through
yeah,
the shed and
yeah,
like going through one doorway to another and
yeah,
following it. Like it was so well done.
yeah.
That stuff.
No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, the Gordy storyline bit, if you're just watching it as a UFO movie, is a little bit weird. Like, what does this have to do with anything? Right? That the Gordy subplot or the Gordy parallel storyline
Mm-hmm.
only works if you are watching it with the various metaphorical layers in mind, right? Um, but despite that, you can just watch it as a fun summer popcorn flick, and it basically
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And I think it's the strength of that fact that it was one of the reasons why I like Nope so much, right? Same with Get Out. I mean, I thought Get Out was a really well done script with a lot of really really interesting subtext, but it was also just like a really good by the books, you know, horror movie, just a well done solid horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Nope, I'm not Nope, gosh darn it, Us kind of it got away from him a little bit, and it just got too noisy to
Mm-hmm.
be a great horror movie. I mean, it was fun. It just was somewhat of a mess, in my opinion. Um,
So now, did I hear you right? Like, because I was listening and trying to get to my file set up at the same time. But did you say the best script you thought was actually no?
no, Get Out was, I thought, the best script of the three
Okay,
for
all
sure.
right,
It was,
yeah, I'm with you on that
yeah,
too.
it was very
I think
tight. It had
yeah,
a very clear, you know, um, conflict with clear motivations from all the characters, clear objectives for all the characters. It was it didn't get too broad in terms of how it was expressing
yeah.
its what it was trying to talk about. So Nope to me, gosh darn it, I'm sorry, my brain is just
It's okay. It's okay.
it's
We can fix
it's
it in post.
yeah, my
Don't
brain
worry.
already went to bed. Get Out had what was the best of the three movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it,
So
it
here,
had that subtext, it had that interest, right? But it also was a great horror movie, but it also had a really well done script, right? So it had all three of the pieces that came together and made the whole, the sum of the parts much greater than the whole.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, so in your if you were to put the order of movie preference, you'd say Get Out is best,
Yeah.
and then so Us comes in third. You actually put would you put Nope
Yeah,
ahead of?
Nope. I liked more than Us. Yeah.
Hmm. So here's the funny thing. So even though I had issues with Nope, as far as like the breaking of the science stuff, whatever you want to call it, like I actually found the script for Nope stronger than Us actually. So I guess I'm
Hmm.
agreeing with you in this regard because yeah, Us was kind of a little bit more spaghetti.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
Nope, what I really, again, another thing that I really thought that was strong about this movie was how OJ, like, I can't remember the actor's name, but
Yeah, OJ.
his nonverbal, the acting of not saying anything, the implied
Oh yeah.
was so good.
And the thing is it's a testament to Daniel Kaluuya's talent because
Yeah,
not everybody can pull that off, right? I
no,
mean, he didn't seem standoffish. He didn't seem
yeah,
dumb. He didn't seem. It didn't seem stupid. It
yeah,
was extremely effective the way he presented that character.
yeah, as the and his sister, the actress that played
Emerald,
his sister,
yeah, Kiki
Emerald,
Palmer, yeah.
yeah, she was if, because they had such smart, this is what you should do. I mean, you should always play two really essentially energy level characters opposite each other, so you really get to see them gel in their space, and
Mm-hmm.
that was fun to see too because you saw brother and sister, like the dynamic was really neat to watch, and the
Mm-hmm.
interactions between the two of them, I felt like they were siblings, the entire way through the movie. I thought there were so many good elements of that movie that make it a strong movie. Except for just the last half hour is like
Mm. I really
only
dug
like
the
it.
last half hour, and I know,
Yeah.
a part of it is because that's when it gets really heady in terms
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
because these aren't spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Gordon, jeez Louise,
Gordy.
uh, Jordan
Oh,
Peele has mentioned in interviews two things which are fun facts. The UFO, in his mind, is the personification of spectacle,
uh-huh.
right? So
Yep.
that's
Hmm.
the explicit symbolism. So when
Yeah.
it takes its final form and it resembles a movie camera, and
Yeah.
basically that spectacle is looking back on to the audience
Yeah.
in a matter of
Yeah.
speaking,
Uh-huh.
I thought that was extremely effective.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and um, and then he's also said, and this is not really part of the subtext, but it's just kind of a fun little thing that he did. The title has two meanings. Nope, obviously being a thing that people go nope, right? Like that's a popular
Yeah.
sort of colloquialism in the American zeitgeist. Um, but he also intentionally it is an acronym for not of planet Earth.
Yeah. Now, see, I was curious about this because I heard about the acronym aspect of it, and I wasn't sure if that was actually confirmed. So, did he say that
He
that's
did
part of
confirm
the?
it. Yeah, I think it was in a
Okay.
tweet or something, or
Okay.
it was in an interview. But yeah, he did confirm that NOPE is an acronym for not of planet
That's cool.
Earth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was pretty neat. To have the double meaning behind it. Yeah.
So
But yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted as to, again, like I said, you and I weren't 100% on the same page on this movie. I mean, it's worth seeing because if you want to see spectacle, it's fun to see big, in that
mm,
regard. And
mm-hmm.
again, there's some great shots that you can't really emulate. Um,
And the sound design too
and the sound design was
really
fun.
soars, especially when
Hmm.
the humans and the animals are getting eaten by the UFO, and the way you can hear their
Uh-huh.
screams like dancing around
Yeah,
you in
it
those
was
massive
really, really
twelve point
creepy.
four theaters,
Yeah,
their setups are.
yeah,
That was super creepy and incredibly effective, and
yep,
it won't be as effective at home, especially if you don't
no,
have like a surround sound system. If you're just watching it on a sound bar
yeah,
or, God
yeah.
forbid, stereo speakers on your television, um, yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to, like, for me, it's like if I just made sure to check my brain out the door, like watching a Marvel movie or something like that, I think I would have gone into it and have probably had more and enjoyed it more. But as far as just engaging your senses, like your sight and your ears and everything else, it's a really good movie for that. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun movie for that in that regard. Just don't think too much about it. That would be my only takeaway thought from that movie. But yeah, good. But um, I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything more else to know, but I'll jump over to Prey.
No, it was a good movie. I recommend everybody see it, whether you like it or
Mhm.
not. It's a great opportunity to have a discussion about film. I mean,
Yeah,
Jordan
yeah,
Peele
hmm,
is a talented filmmaker, regardless of what you
yeah,
think of his movies.
Yeah.
And I have confidence that he is not going to go the way of M. Night Shyamalan. Um,
Yeah.
he has too much talent and he's got too much pedigree, right? I mean, Shyamalan had, you know, he had 3, maybe 4 good movies under his belt, and then he just kind of decided to appeal to only to people in France, I guess. Because people,
Yeah.
the French love his movies, all of them.
Yeah, it's that's
Um,
also very yeah, it's interesting.
yeah,
Um,
but you know, Peele, he's got a years of pedigree, right? I mean, you know, from his start in Mad TV, and then
hmm
Key and Peele, and he's got a, a very strong background, a very strong cinematic sense, a very strong storytelling sense. I don't personally think he's going to go the direction of M. Night Shyamalan.
hmm
Um, I mean, we'll see. Anything is possible, but I'm confident that whatever his next movie ends up being, it will be good. And maybe it won't be a masterpiece, but I'm certain it'll be good.
So are you saying are you considering Nope to be a masterpiece though,
No,
or
no, 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 no. That
okay?
that word gets thrown around too easily.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
everything everywhere all at once. Yes, I would consider that a masterpiece, but I'm not going to belabor that point. I
yeah.
have spilt many a bits talking about that on this stream. So,
And I think
um,
I mean if you're talking about movie of the year, that one's still
oh
set
yeah,
the bar, and
without a doubt, yeah.
yeah, nothing's come close to that one in my opinion. That one's a really good movie, obviously. Is it still in theaters? I hope it still is. I mean, I hope people are seeing
Well,
it.
they brought it back,
Oh, okay,
and they
good.
brought it back with an intro from the Daniels and some bloopers at the end of it as well. But the
Oh,
bloopers
that's
are
pretty
all
cool.
on YouTube if you want to watch those.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that again.
Yeah, I
There's
I
just a lot
saw
you
I
can
saw it
miss
3
in
times
movies.
in theaters, and I have the Blu-ray now. So
That's really fun. It's already out on Blu-ray,
yeah,
or
it's
did
out
you
on Blu-ray.
pre-order it?
Yeah, it came out
Ah,
on July 5th actually.
wow, that's cool.
So it's been out for a
Yeah.
while. But Prey, yeah,
Did you watch Prey or no?
Prey was yeah I watched it. Prey
Okay.
was it was fine. It was just
Really?
fine. I
I
mean, it was. Was it the worst Predator movie that's ever been made? No, no. It was watchable.
hmm
The action sequences were great,
Yeah.
uh, but the characters and the dialogue were even more meaningless than the characters and the dialogue from the first Predator movie. The first Predator movie had more character development and
hmm
world building than this movie had. All of the characters were basically ciphers for generic character movie tropes, right? Movie character tropes.
hmm
There was no character development. No one grew. No one changed. The lead character was perfect from frame one and perfect at frame end, right? The you know it wasn't her growth that needed to happen. She knew she was a brilliant hunter at the beginning of the movie, and no one else believed her, but she knew it. And then
hmm
all that happens at the end of the movie is she's proven to be a brilliant hunter, right? She doesn't grow. She doesn't learn. Nothing changes about her. Her character is completely flat and meaningless. I don't the only reason I remember her name is because I wrote a script about it today for work.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I mean, in terms of the human elements, it was meaningless and unbelievably forgettable. But the fight sequences were pretty good when it didn't go into like just straight up CG predator fighting CG bear territory, which was just like
It
yeah
took you out of
okay
it, huh?
yeah. I
You
mean
could,
yeah, I guess I just everybody's really impressed by that kind of stuff, and I look at it and I go, well, you're literally just pointing a camera at an environment and then handing
uh-huh.
it over to Weta or ILM or whoever did the
Yeah.
special effects for it, and then going fill in the blanks, right? I mean, it's not really movie making; it's animation, and it's great. I love animation, but you know the term live action um, it continues to get looser and looser and looser
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
the years wane on. And I know I'm just an old man shouting at clouds at this point, but I just don't. There's not a lot of stakes when everything is CG. I mean, I didn't feel like the protagonist was in danger by either the bear or the predator in that moment
Uh-huh.
because they were obviously both CG and not believable at all. Now, when they were using the puppet, when they were using the suit in the animatronic mask, that was cool. Like that, then it was like, ooh, this looks real. This looks threatening and big, right?
hmm
But when it was just those huge CG set pieces, it was just meaningless, right?
Mm.
So it was fine. I'm glad that I have Hulu and I was able to watch it without spending any money on it.
Uh-huh.
But I certainly wouldn't watch it again. I mean, it was. I mean, I've
Yeah,
seen Predator 1, I don't even know how many times. And
gazillion
yeah,
times.
and I've seen Predator 2 a bunch too. I mean, I think that
Yeah,
movie is underrated, actually.
yeah.
Um, and then, honestly, if you want to know the truth, I really liked that Adrian Brody one,
Mm-hmm.
Predators.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like also an underrated Predator movie, but those are the only three Predator movies in the entire franchise that I really, really like or would consider watching again.
Yeah, I mean, after that, then you pretty much only have two left. It's just the AVP ones, right? The Alien
Well, then you have the
Predator
one
ones.
that
Is
Shane
that
Black
right?
did a couple years ago called The Predator, which was
Oh,
awful. Any movie that has Olivia Munn in it, you immediately know is going to be terrible.
gosh, I don't know if I
So
saw that one.
yeah,
The
it
Predator,
was a
huh?
complete flop.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a weird movie that it cast a bunch of like Keegan Michael Key was in it, which was a
Uh-huh.
real strange thing, and he was just playing Keegan Michael Key, and then he dies very quickly. And then Olivia Munn is one of the protagonists. She's one of the survivors at the end of the movie. I find her unbelievable as a human being, let alone as an actor.
Why? Because of
She's
her
just
game journalist
well, she
background,
just no,
whatever,
she's just
or
one of the most talentless actors I've ever seen. And so I was just being, rude. But like I remember she had this short, and the New Girl did this a couple of times. She had this short character arc on New Girl where she was playing Nick's girlfriend, and it was just like, why are you interested in her at all, Nick? Like she's not believable as anything, right? And then of course
yeah.
they did it again with Megan Fox, and I'm like, she's Megan Fox is also just a horrible actor.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, the episodes where Olivia Munn and Megan Fox were in it were just like, oh, I just can't wait for these to be over. I tend to when I rewatch New Girl, I tend to skip over most of those episodes.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that movie was terrible. Um, but yeah, so there's Predator, Predator 2, the AVP movies, Predators, The Predator, and now Prey.
Prey.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually enjoy Prey a lot. But see, the reason why is that I knew beforehand to just check my brain out the door.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
watched it, and like I was actually surprised because oh, this is actually better than I thought it would be. That was my because I had no expectations. Right? Because again, Predator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, it sets the bar for everything. It's the
Mm-hmm.
first, it's the OG, whatever. But this one I enjoyed. Yeah, I this one I have to disagree a little bit here. I mean, the main character, yes, she's a badass, but she wants to prove to the village. So you get this classic underdog story. She wants to prove to everybody that she's really good, and she adapts and she does grow. She like puts the string on the axe and she learns how to fight with it. And she's learning about the predator as the movie goes on. That type of stuff I really enjoy. There was the brother sister relationship that I enjoyed seeing, and it's funny like so for me the bear scene with the predator I love that scene. I thought it
Really.
was really fun. Yeah, I was really caught up into it, and I hear you about how if you think about it, you're going yes. If you think about the shot and you're thinking about the composition of how they made it as a with the director's head, like yeah, you're just shooting nothing. I
Right.
I get that, but for me, I was just completely. It didn't break the immersion for me. Like it's funny. Like we just talked about immersion before with Nope because I was expecting more from Nope. But with Predator, I didn't. I just thought, okay, this is the scene where the bear fights the predator. Okay, it's cool. Oh, that's cool. They reveal the predator through blood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I mean
really enjoyed it.
that moment was cool. I'll grant you that. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it was very. But it was. I mean, the whole time I knew in the back of my head it was CG, but I just put it on the background application in my head. Going, yeah, I know it's CG, but it doesn't matter. I'm not expecting anything except for just how is she going to deal with this and how is she going to. And I was completely caught up with it. Like I had to get an instruction manual to understand how it resolved itself by the end. By the end, again, this is kind of weird for me. I guess it just fell apart a little bit for me at the end with how she rigged a trap for the predator type of thing. But then Amit explained to me, and I went, "Oh, okay, I get it." And I like that part. And
Yeah.
even the credit scene was fun to watch because then you see the recap of what happened during the movie,
And
and then
then
I
they
don't know
have
if
that
you,
little teaser at the end.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. It was really cool. It's fun to watch the credits because it's fun to look at the art, and then like, oh, cool. It implies like, oh, if we get greenlit
If we
for
get greenlit,
pursuing
we've
our own
already got a
interests,
sequel. Yeah.
we got a sequel on the way. But in the halls of the Predator franchise, I would probably put it. I'm with you on this too. Predator One and Predator Two, the two best, and then the Adrian Brody one. That's Predators, you
Yeah,
said,
that's
right? Yeah,
Predators. Yeah.
yeah. And I put this right after Predators. So, but I thought the
Mm.
Adrian Brody one is really underrated. It's really fun. You even get Morpheus in it for a
Yeah,
second,
and Topher Grace
So
playing a serial killer
yeah,
extremely
it
well,
was
surprisingly
so.
well, right?
There were some really good actors in that.
Yeah,
I can't
Danny
even remember
Trejo was in
the
it
serial.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Who's the serial killer guy? That actor. He's in a
That
lot of
was Topher
stuff.
Grace. He was the one who played the serial killer.
Oh, I'm sorry, not the no, the one that was convicted felon with the orange. Wasn't there a guy with an orange jumpsuit
Yeah.
and he had the
Oh,
crazy hair? He's
I don't
an
remember.
he was in there's that televangelist show on HBO with
Yeah. Yeah,
he plays a
the
Danny McBride
Danny McBride show. Yeah.
show. He's like a brother-in-law in that show. Like that guy, like he gets roles, and he was great in that too. In
Oh,
Predators,
was it
anyways.
Danny McBride? No, no. Well, anyway, yeah, yeah. Predators is underrated, but the order is the same for me. Predator,
Yeah,
Predator Two,
yeah,
Predators, and Prey
and
in
then
that order.
Prey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's not like
yeah,
they're close. I mean, they're all. It's pretty spread out.
yeah. Predator, and again, it's weird how Predator Two gets underrated. I think people were expecting to see Arnie again, and so
Hmm.
everyone was disappointed when they saw Danny Glover.
Yeah, they wanted Arnold to come back, and he refused.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was so good. I thoroughly
Yeah,
enjoyed
no,
Predator
it
Two. I thought it
was.
was right
Yeah,
there.
anybody who sort of badmouthed it, I think should just go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, and then don't watch it with any expectations of seeing
No,
Arnie, and then
yeah,
you'll
and
actually like the
it's. I
movie.
mean, Danny
Yeah.
Glover is really good, actually.
He can hold his own.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a
he
great
does a
actor.
great job as sort of the one last man standing kind of hero. But I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of going back to the main character and her arc, I know what you're saying about proving yourself and that sort of story, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the perfect example for me, like one of the best ones
hmm
um, of that particular subgenre. Yeah, especially with a female character, right? Where it's like she's got all these extra steps that she has to take to prove that she's worthy
hmm
of
hmm hmm
the animated version of Mulan, not the movie. The live action movie was an embarrassment, but the animated version of Mulan does an amazing job of this, right?
hmm
Because
hmm
she wants to prove herself. She has the
Yeah.
drive, but she doesn't have the experience. She doesn't have the
Yeah.
training because they
Yeah.
purposefully kept her out of it, right? And
hmm
she takes this bold move. The inciting incident is she does dress as a man, and she goes through the training, and she does
Yeah.
fail, and she does
Yeah.
suffer, and she does grow, and she does have hardships, right? And she
hmm
does change over the course of the movie. And
hmm
then at the
hmm
end, her victory and her strength feels earned. It feels legitimate and valuable. Whereas
hmm
the first time we see the character in Prey, she's already a badass. She's already
hmm
jumping over logs and hunting
Yeah.
deer, and there's no
Sure.
point at which she's weak. I mean, the only point that part where they imply that maybe she's not as good as her male counterparts is in that very first scene. Well, one of the first scenes where she's like aiming at the eagle, and then her brother shoots it down before she.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Sure.
that's literally the only time she's ever implied to have
You ever
any
see her?
less
Yeah.
than perfection, right?
hmm
And so, from that standpoint, it was just a failure of overcoming biases storyline, right? Mulan is one of the best examples I can think of off the top of my head. Again, the
Yeah.
animated show, not the live action movie has the same problem this does, is that Mulan starts powerful and is powerful at the end
And
of the
she just
movie,
stays
and
that
nothing
way.
changes,
Yeah.
right?
So, see, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're comparing like Mulan, which is it is an incredible movie, and it's head and shoulders above
Oh yeah,
Prey, for
Prey,
example,
yeah,
like right.
yeah.
But like for me, when I was watching it, I see the word Prey, it's done in the font of Predator, so I know, okay, the hero has got to be a badass because when you watch Predator, Arnold's a badass. He barely does anything. Like he
But
doesn't.
yeah, but watch
Does he learn anything?
well,
Or
watch Predator,
like
right?
just
Like
yeah.
when Arnold comes in, yeah, he's a badass. He's invincible. He
Mhm.
knows it. He's unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's calm. He's collected. He's always in control of the situation. And over the
Uh-huh.
course of the movie, as more and more of his team are killed
Dies.
off, he becomes more
Yeah.
desperate. He becomes more primal, more animalistic, right? He drops
hmm
the pretense of being in control. He goes, he goes back to the earth with all these sort of, rather than guns, he uses primitive traps and tools and things of that nature, right? And the
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
scene where he's just like, he gets the torch and he's covered in mud and he screams into the air. I mean, that is
Mm.
so different from where the calm and collected, like, high five with the bicep curl character was in the first, first minutes of the movie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then especially when he gets on the helicopter and he looks defeated, like he looks done,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And in fact, the reason why Schwarzenegger refused to come back, or one of many reasons, but one of the reasons is like, why? Why would he put himself through this again, right? Like he said, it
Uh-huh.
didn't make any sense for Dutch to go through this again.
Mm.
And he's right. Like, surviving something like that. This is the point where you like buy a cabin on a beach in a Caribbean island and disappear for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so they did a better job of that. He does. He starts off this invincible soldier, but by the end of the movie, he's this sort of primal broken man. He's not the same person he was going into it.
Yeah, I do remember that the last shot where he looked exhausted. I remember all of that. That was the only time you actually saw him, at least for it's been a while since I've seen it, but that was the one time where I saw him being human. I
Yeah.
think you make some great points about how he goes back to the Earth and stuff like that. But again, when I'm watching Predator, I never worried about Arnie ever because he had big, giant, bulging. He was a superhero. I
See,
never worried about him. Whereas the
yeah.
girl, I can't remember her names. I can't remember her character name or anything. But the girl was like, I was afraid for her. Like a lot of times when she was doing those moves stuff like that, yeah, she could do them, but she looked like she was going to get her ass kicked. Like Arnie, I never worried about it.
It's
That was the
interesting,
difference, I
yeah. So
guess.
for me, it
Yeah,
was totally the opposite. I mean, this
yeah.
is this is McTiernan. John McTiernan used to be a great director before he, I don't know, got weird and hired a private investigator to spy on his enemies, and then wound up in jail for a bunch of
Oh,
years.
that's a bummer. That's a
Yeah,
completely side note thing here.
yeah. It's
That's
a big
interesting.
side note, but yeah, no, McTiernan and Shane Black. This was when Shane Black was still really good. I mean, Shane Black he did the Predator, and it was terrible. But so Shane Black wrote Predator, and John McTiernan directed it. And I thought that they did a great job of making Arnie look like a vulnerable character over the course of that
Hmm.
movie. You've got, all of these buff, huge guys who are just, all of them are invincible. And then
Hmm.
watching them
Hmm.
taken out one by one with all, no matter how big their guns are, right?
Hmm.
It proves that regardless of your muscles or your guns, you're
Hmm.
still vulnerable. You're
Hmm.
still only human, right? And
Hmm.
so the fact that Arnold doesn't have his strongman armor, right? Because the movie spends a huge amount of time proving that his muscles don't help him here, for the most part. That made him far more vulnerable than her,
Hmm.
because at every turn, she basically escapes unharmed. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
look at Arnie at the end of Predator, he looks broken. And
yeah.
that's to make up and all.
Yeah.
But the girl in Prey at the end of the movie, other than having a little dirt on her, she's otherwise unharmed because the
Uh-huh.
Predator doesn't touch her over the course. And even in the final battle, the Predator gets like one or two good hits, but otherwise she just completely menaces the Predator. I never felt threatened for her at any point in the movie.
Even when because she stepped in a bear trap at
Yeah,
one
which she
point.
then never suffered from.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
doesn't limp at any point in the movie. They
yeah, yeah,
never
yeah.
even address it. The only
Yeah, and that's
reason
just
they did
yeah.
that
But
is
again,
to show, oh, the
yeah,
Predator doesn't attack
yeah, yeah,
unarmed
yeah,
people. It was just this throwaway moment to justify a
yeah,
line of dialogue 20 minutes later.
yeah. But then when did Arnie get beat? Like, did he get cut or anything in Predator? I don't remember him ever getting
Oh yeah, I mean
cut or
like he's like covered in cuts and he's bleeding, especially in that last fight, right? I mean,
yeah. Did he get sliced or something?
oh
What
yeah, yeah, he
happened? I
gets
can't remember.
sliced, he gets diced. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
gets I mean, I know this is super fresh in my mind because I just
Mm-hmm.
did a script about Prey today and I was having to go back
Mm-hmm.
to Predator and scrub through a bunch of that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why Predator's so fresh in my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
And on it, but in truth, Arnie gets out more unscathed than Danny Glover in Predator 2. I mean, Danny
Yeah,
Glover by the
Predator
end
2,
of Predator
I can't
2, like,
even.
yeah,
Yeah.
he is just like, he's gonna succumb from his wounds 5 minutes after that movie ends. He's so badly beaten.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, and I just never the girl in Prey. She never felt like she was weak at any point.
Man, that's so interesting. Like, yeah, I was on pins and needles for her
Really?
the entire time. Yeah. That's interesting. I do have a newfound appreciation when I do get around to watching Predator again. I will watch it with that lens though you're talking about. Yeah, with Arnie. But again, every time I have watched it, I never the first time I watched it, I just knew this is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Nothing's gonna happen to him. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well, I
never
just
worried about him.
I
Like this
mean with
girl's some unknown. I didn't know who's gonna die. You knew the brother was. Well, I mean, I don't know. I won't
well,
say
yeah, I
too
mean
much.
that
Just
was
getting out there.
and again this goes back into my problems with the script. It was so
Yeah,
tropey, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There
yeah,
was no actual characterization.
yeah.
They
Mhm.
literally went to the movie character trope checklist, and sacrificial brother character was the one that they chose for the
Mhm.
sacrificial brother, right? It was just
Sure, sure.
and that's
You
why I
kind of had a
knew
feeling even in the beginning of it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why I knew she was going to live. That's why there was no threat because the characters are
yeah,
so tropey and so bland and
yeah, yeah.
unoriginal. I'm like, "Oh, you're going to live because if they killed you off, then they wouldn't be fulfilling the prophecy of this particular character trope, right?"
Hmm, hmm.
Um
Yeah, yeah.
so,
I think again, like because I knew it was a Predator movie, I didn't think that much through it. I mean, I was just watching it, so there was more of a visceral thing. Like this girl looks, she's like 5 foot something against a 6 foot, 7 foot Predator alien, and it just looked visually scary compared to Arnie. I don't know why. It
I
just
mean, I guess again, I've seen Predator 1,000 times and I mean that's slightly hyperbolic, but
oh yeah, but you've seen it playing, and
yeah,
you just saw it recently.
yeah.
So Arnie looks really small for
Yeah,
the Predator,
yeah,
right?
he looks really small in the Predator, and he almost loses, right? I mean, it's
Hmm.
there's a lot of luck that goes into
Yeah,
involved to him winning, and so the
yeah,
idea it actually became somewhat unbelievable that this young woman
yeah.
who, I mean, like
She definitely had luck towards the end, like especially with her trusty companion. Like
yeah,
that's
and
for
the fact that
sure.
the dog was unscathed through the whole thing, they're both, I guess,
I
immune.
was worried for the dog. I thought that they were gonna kill
Yeah, I
kill
know. They're apparently both immune to bear traps, right? Because they both get caught in bear traps at different points in the movie, and neither one of them. I mean, bear traps are
Yeah,
vicious. There's a reason why they're illegal, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know, and neither one of them suffered any ill consequences as a result of it,
yeah.
and it was just.
But
But then,
again,
and then,
like
like and then in the scene with the trappers, the predator throws the bear trap and does that thing to the guy, and I'm like, that was the same bear trap that what's her face was completely unfazed by, right?
yeah, yeah. He did the Master of the Flying Guillotine on him, I think.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that was pretty
anyway,
funny.
the action
Yeah.
sequences were good, but that was the
Mm-hmm.
only thing about that movie that I liked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was good, but yeah, it just doesn't. It's not the best out of the movies for sure. Like I yeah yeah I mean yeah Predator 1, 2, and Predators definitely are better.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take a while for I think them to get anything that'll kind of rival any of those three and put them in that tier. But
I would
yeah,
be fine if they stopped trying, honestly.
really,
Yeah,
oh
it's just I don't know where else you take. Um,
yeah,
I mean, they tried, I guess, a little bit with Alien versus Predator,
hmm,
but those movies were a complete miss. I love that the fact that in a movie called Alien versus Predator, the humans are the ones that win.
yeah,
It's just
of course. I don't know if you read the Dark Horse comic book
I did.
versions of Alien vs
Those are pretty
Predator.
good.
They were pretty good. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of them were good. But yeah, of course they're not going to go to any source material to source their
No.
movie. They just
No.
make something up, and it was not that good.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw the sequel or the second one, whatever it was called. I
The
don't
second
know.
one was
Yeah.
better than the first one just by virtue of the fact that they were allowed to have an R rating.
Mm.
And
Oh,
so they
I forgot
were
about that too.
yeah, they were allowed to be a little bit more violent, so the action scenes were a little bit more visceral.
Hmm,
But it was, I mean, that's shades of gray, right? So,
hmm. Yeah,
um,
yeah,
but you know, um, but yeah, that was so. It's interesting. We came down on opposite sides of the fence with Nope and Prey.
yeah. Like I wish I would have checked out my brand. No. And then if I was more analytical about Prey, maybe I'd have the same issues you did. But I just know it's just going to be a silly a Prey movie or a Predator movie is going to be pretty silly, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
expect much. Even I mean, I hear you with the bear trap. It should have just probably snapped her leg in half, like
It
that was
would
like a
have.
clean break.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a bear
but
trap
it's
because it's
yeah,
capable of
yeah,
catching
yeah, yeah.
bears.
Yes, of course.
and, that, and
I
that young
totally
woman
get
weighs,
what you're
what,
saying.
110
And then
pounds, you know?
yeah, I know. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But again, like it's funny. Like I just checked my brain out there. Okay, she's gonna get her mortal wound here and
Yeah, yeah.
practice her medicine skills. But yeah, she should have been limping or on a stub because there's plenty of stubs in that movie of
Oh,
other
yeah, there were plenty
people.
of stumps. Plenty of stumps.
So they have
Hell,
no
the
problem
Predator gets a
doing it.
stump at one point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
But yeah. But
anyway.
yeah, we kind of been going on a little bit here. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a good two
Talking,
topics. Good two
comparing.
topics, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how, yeah, like you said, we kind of ended up on the opposite sides of things.
We
Oddly
do
enough,
that. We
but
do that not often. We tend to agree on a lot of things, but every once in a while we'll come down on different sides of things. And that's
mm,
half the fun. If we agreed about everything, then there's no fun in
yeah,
that.
it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be as boring as I don't know, Alien versus Predator one, I guess, or something. So,
Way
um,
to bring it home. Way to just tie it into the
yeah,
theme of the night.
yeah. Uh, I mean, to recap tonight, like
Yeah.
I was working on this, but then you and I talking Predator, and I kind of got off. I stopped working a little bit. I got distracted, but that's happening sometimes. But successfully though, yes, we've actually have Calamity Jane dropped it a couple of shots.
Great.
See, if you notice, I'm just recycling some good stuff here, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the drawing's done, and I can just animate, as we move the shots, and I'll keep doing that. And where
Mm-hmm.
there's some opportunities where I can drop in the shots, I'll do that with that. With here's another spot here, I could do it here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so we have some, so we've had some success tonight, and this is kind of what I'll be doing. I'll be laying out shots where I can recycle assets to
Mm-hmm.
put in our cartoon.
Cool.
So that's where we're
Very
at
cool.
here.
All about
Yeah.
recycling with animation.
Oh yes, all about recycling. No animated bears here or predators here. It's too expensive
No, way
for us
too
to do
expensive.
that.
No CG predator bears.
No, no, we won't. We guarantee that.
No.
So
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting, and we'll be back same time next week, everybody. So stay tuned for more. Um, well, whatever we feel like talking, as
Yeah.
usual. Please head on over to calamityjane.rocks and check out our Patreon and consider joining us and helping us make it this cartoon. You can also go to Twitter, Jane Salamander. We do 3 tweet stories every week, so it's a fun little way to get some insight into the world of Calamity Jane. If you're paying attention, there's tons of spoilers in all of these stories, none of which will make any sense to you because we haven't talked about any of it. But
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
spoilers left and right, so keep that in mind. Future spoilers. They're not spoilers right now because we haven't done the episodes, but they will be spoilers. And then, of course, we're on Facebook as well, so you can find links to each of our streams on Facebook. We don't really update it that much, honestly. We're old and not huge
Yeah.
social
Let's
media
just use
fans.
that as a excuse. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but suffice it to say, we will post updates to Facebook if there is any updates outside of the stream that'll go on Facebook as well.
And also, if you happen to be watching our stream and you kind of like the topics we talked about and you want to chime in, we do it live. So
We
that
do it
if you
live,
want to
yeah.
come in, or yeah, we do a running chat too. So if you want to come in and totally disagree with myself or Eric,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
we're
look at the
used to
chat.
that. That's
Yeah,
fine.
it's lonely. It's lonely, but I do
Yeah,
look at the
but if
chat.
you
I'm
want
looking
to
at it
if you
right
want to
now.
talk
So yeah,
if you want to talk pop culture or whatever, we're
yeah.
always game.
Well, happy to
So.
entertain us. Please come on, tell us how
Mhm.
wrong we are.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
It's better to
So
disagree than agree sometimes. It gives you
absolutely.
it's the talking point.
Yeah. Exactly.
But okay, well, thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week. Stay safe out there. Good night.
Good night.